The Bicentennial Gold Cup, the glittering prize now within the reach of Australian soccer. And the chance for the Socceroos to win this coveted trophy has brought a large and very excited crowd to the Sydney Football Stadium this afternoon, as you can no doubt hear. Hello and welcome everyone to the final of the Bicentennial Gold Cup, Australia against Brazil. And the men on whose shoulders all our hopes are resting are the Socceroos, who grabbed not only Australia's but also the world's attention on Thursday night when they thrashed reigning world champions Argentina. The question is, can they possibly hope to produce another famous victory today? Johnny Warren, can they do it?
Well, I think before the tournament, Charles, there was only about 20 guys thought that they'd be here today. That's Frank Arrock, Eddie Thompson, Charlie Yankos and all the players. They've defied all logic to be here, and should they perform as they have so far in the series, we're going to have one hell of a game here this afternoon.
And the Brazilians are well aware they've got a battle on their hands.
Well, I've just been up in the dressing room. They've just had their traditional prayer before the game. The look on their faces, they're very uptight. This is a big event for them. It's going live to Brazil. They're on show. We're going to have a great game.
Okay, Johnny Warren. So the scene is set for what could be the greatest occasion in Australian soccer history as we go up to join your commentator, Martin Tyler.
Yes, Charles. Good afternoon, everyone. The reason it's such a great occasion is because Australia continue to break new ground as far as this most international of sports is concerned. Facing Brazil remains the ultimate test, but they do have an extra ally today. They do have some fantastic support. 2,500 fans were queuing for tickets at 10:30 this morning. The word is spreading that this is a team to be proud of, and that will still be the case whatever happens over the next couple of hours. Well, it was Oscar Crino's excellence against today's opponents in Melbourne just 10 days ago which encouraged Frank Arrock to break his own rule about never changing a winning team. Crino hospitalised just 2 days ago. He's been on a penicillin drip, but they've got him out there. Well, Vlado Bozinoski is the unlucky man to step down after playing an important role in Thursday's heroics against Argentina. Defender Robbie Dunn carries the scars of that battle, an angry wound in his right shin, despite the stitches inserted following an atrocious foul on him by Batista. Physically, the recovery period for this splendid team has been short. And with an extra day's rest, Brazil's resources have been revived. Muller is out there, he's fit again. And from this Brazilian side, only the suspended Ademir is missing. Andrade is a natural replacement for him. Nelsinho, he hasn't played since the first match with Australia. He's recovered from a damaged shoulder. And Giovanni, who was carried off against Saudi Arabia on Wednesday, he's fit again. The referee, honoured to be in charge of the final, is Don Campbell. Such an honour, in fact, that Don has had to delay the celebration of his 29th wedding anniversary today. Wife Jean is left a soccer widow back in Adelaide. I know she's watching. I hope she's understanding. Well, the weather looks a bit threatening, but I don't think anything can stop the merit of this grand occasion. Winning the Bicentennial Gold Cup is enough, really, of a triumph. But to go with it, 125,000 Australian dollars for the winning side, 60,000 plus for the runners-up. Australia have had to change from gold shirts to green because Brazil have invoked a FIFA regulation allowing the away team to choose their strip. But when the two teams met in Melbourne, with Brazil narrowly winning 1-0, Australia were in the gold then, so maybe the change of shirts will bring a change of results. And Charlie Yankos with the captain's armband and with some tributes to his contribution to this competition already hanging around the stadium. Who will ever forget that marvellous free kick against Argentina? Really, as we look back, the turning point on what at the time was a very difficult night for the Socceroos. The captain for Brazil, incidentally, the number 4 there is Ricardo. Well, that's a fine sight. And this is a superb stadium. The pitch seems to have recovered quite well from the rugby league match here on Friday evening. And one thing about Australia playing in green, we do see Brazil in their traditional strip, the strip made so famous by those 3 World Cup wins in 58, 62 and 70. On the right, at the back of the bench there, the dynamic duo, Frank Arok and Eddie Thompson, who have had to sort the team out from their celebrations on Thursday evening, which they were quite entitled to have. But we're underway. Wally Savor, Yankos and Robbie Dunn, whose father flew in yesterday from Western Australia. I was a little worried whether Robbie would be past fit with that damaged shin, but his journey already worthwhile. And there will be some very proud relatives, I'm sure, as well as thousands of proud fans to see Australia reach the final. That in itself is a great achievement. Crino. His ankle so swollen with that blood infection, but he amazed everyone in training yesterday, and they really had to consider including him after the way he played against Brazil. The match in which Aloisio played his last match because of a shoulder problem. But it's a gamble to include Crino from the start, but Bozinoski is waiting on the bench if Oscar fades. Paul Wade trying to hustle and harass, that's very much his trademark. Aloisio, arguably the best attacking left-back in the world. And there's signs of early nerves from Robbie Dunn. Yankos preventing the corner. It's understandable. It's a tense occasion, and Australia particularly anxious to get through the first 20 minutes unscathed. Brazil, the only unbeaten team in the Bicentennial Gold Cup. If you haven't been following it too closely, Argentina finished 3rd, Saudi Arabia in 4th and last position. Andrade with the anchor role in Brazil's midfield. Aloisio getting a foot in. Here's Alan Davidson, who's had an excellent tournament. Arnold for Farina. Wade and Ollerenshaw are in the middle. Australia have made something of a habit of getting early goals. 6 minutes against Saudi Arabia, 4 minutes against Argentina. Be asking too much to make that a hat-trick. And Savor being spoken to for the foul. Crino. Wade. Nicely timed the pass for Savor. It's a young Brazilian side, a team well equipped to go forward. And it represents very much the future of the Brazilian game. Romario incidentally scored the goal that was the difference between the two sides in Melbourne. A piece of sheer opportunism. Australia made the running for long periods, although they didn't make too many clear-cut chances. But Brazil here with all the tradition, all the professional expertise. Vlado. He's kept the ball in play, but not himself. sure to be mistakes by the Australians early on. Crino across the help, Arnold out. Vlado, picked off by Crino. It's an appeal for handball by the players nearest to it then. But Don Campbell wasn't too far away either, and he saw nothing wrong. Giovanni has had a good competition. And Jennings made an important interception, but almost set up Romario in doing so. Muller was looking to get in behind him. The enthusiastic Dunn. Andrade, late replacement into the squad when the first choice Douglas had to go home injured. Andrade's been around a long time and is most capable. Muller for Edmar. Romario's gone towards the near post, and Edmar is causing trouble here. Muller. Romario's certainly not got much strength in the air, a tiny bouncy character, and that really wasn't the ball to deliver to him. But Brazil making some progress here. This is Edmar, plays for the Corinthians club in Sao Paulo, but it was a sloppy cross from Muller. Arnold running out of room there, but he's worked very hard as the central striker since John Cosmina lost his place through injury. Vlado. Davidson working well. Ollerenshaw taking it on the break, and he's quick. What Andrade's in the side to do, to try and win the ball, but Ollerenshaw was a little too smart for him, and Australia have a free kick in a useful position. Crino to take it. A lot of movement from the green-shirted Australians in the middle. Paul Wade is there. Ricardo's header out wasn't very far. Retrieved by Alan Davidson, who can get round the outside. Free waiting if the cross was deep. It was hard to get it in. Davidson, who says he'll retire from international football after the Seoul Olympics. Maybe this sort of series will help him change his mind. Wade flicks it on well. Taffarel wants to clear it early, knowing that Romario and Muller are very quick as the twin spearheads for Brazil. Ollerenshaw, Crino, was a good run by Jennings. The pass not quite so good, but look at that for battling. The pressing tactic that Johnny Warren has spoken about so often. It's been important, and Graham Arnold getting in a good challenge there, John.
Yes, Arnie, just such a great team player, Graham Arnold. Leads the way up front, puts pressure when he's outnumbered on defenders. But a tentative start by Australia, understandably. There's a lot of tension out there, a lot of nerves. It's a huge occasion for them, perhaps not as big for Brazil, but signs that the Australians are starting to get their game going.
Brazil, in fact, looking to complete a most unusual double. They won the Bicentennial Gold Cup in the United States in their 200th anniversary back in 1976, and that's the Brazilian magic. Vlado with great presence of mind to know that Nelsinho was behind him. Here is Nelsinho. Edmar. Well, there's a lot of support here for Brazil, as well as, of course, the majority for Australia, and the samba rhythms are sounding in the stands. I think if Brazil played a match on the moon, they'd still find some supporters up there to greet them. Here's Arnold. Wasn't handball, though Arnold appealed for it. In goes Crino, and has won it. Ricardo. Australia with 7 goals, remember, in their last 2 games. They're the tournament top scorers. Brazil have managed 5 from their 3 matches. Brazil have only conceded the 1. Well, Eddie Thompson will shout till he's hoarse. It's not easy on a grand occasion such as this for the players to hear. Giovanni. A few specks of rain coming down. Vlado. Jorginho galloping up outside him. It's Muller at the far post. He'll be able to return it as well. Good defending in there by Wade. Andrade. Giovanni had a mixed night on Wednesday. 2 successful penalties against Saudi Arabia. Brackets him with one of 5 players, as one of 5 players, on 2 goals in the tournament. No clear-cut leading scorer so far. But Giovanni was then carried off and looked as though he might not make the final. Wade. Well, Muller read that. It's a pass aimed for Jennings. Vlado. Giovanni. Terrific run from the back, very much in character by Nelsinho. Edmar checking out, prepared to run at defenders himself, only for a moment though. And really Farina had to follow through once the ball had been slipped past him. It's something that players like to do to each other in training and have a joke about it, called the nutmeg, slipping it between an opponent's legs. Nelsinho, it's a wicked one. And Australia survived it, but it was mighty close. That's Nelsinho's party piece, the swerving, dipping shot when there's no sort of angle. You have to have outrageous skills to shoot from there. He's got those skills. Farina. And it's a goal kick. Well, I'm sure Frank Arok, who's trying to charge up his players a little bit, I'm sure he mentioned the shooting of Nelsinho, but who would shoot from here but a Brazilian? There's no fluke about that. Olver was diving, but the player on the post helped him out. Ollerenshaw. Jennings, who played well in the first match against Brazil, got into good forward positions, and maybe he'll feel that Nelsinho has thrown down the gauntlet for attacking left side play. Arnold. Of course, there is a culture gap in this game between the 2 countries, but it's important for Australia not to be too perturbed by Brazilian skills, as long as they're not too threatening. There are some very raw nerve endings out there at the moment. You could see the players getting in each other's way then. But what we found in the competition so far, that often Brazil have played the ball about ornately, not in really key areas. Australia, in their own way, have been very trusting, particularly Farina. If you're not careful as an opponent of Brazil, you can been mesmerised by their ball play. Romario. Davidson in strongly, and need to do that again. Was hoping for the whistle to blow in his favour, and he didn't hear it. Savor, that's the second time he's really been guilty of a cynical tackle. Don Campbell giving him the benefit of the doubt. Johnny Warren, you're such a good barometer of Australian feelings. How is it at the moment?
Well, very nervous, I would think. Brazil are here, as they said, with the team to win the 1990 World Cup, and their guys really know what that means at the moment. They're still a little bit not playing as well as they can. There's nerves out there. The simple things are going wrong, and it takes a very, very cool head and a lot of experience to settle it down now. The beauty is against Brazil that you are allowed to play. The weakness of the Brazilian game is once they lose the ball, they allow you to play a little bit. And Australia, once they get it like they have now, just to perhaps settle down a little bit and do a little bit more with it than they have been so far.
Giovanni. Edmar. Vlado. Vlado working hard to not allow Australia to settle. Brazilians were very impressed with what they saw on television when Australia came up with that mind-blowing result against Argentina. They're taking this match very, very seriously. Giovanni. Arnold on the stretch, found Ollerenshaw well, and that's just raw youthful optimism there, prepared to run and make defenders think. It's what defenders don't like, to be attacked by players with close control, running at speed at them. Farina can do the same, but Nelsinho stuck to his guns, and it's brought out by Giovanni. Vlado, who's been maybe a little laid back in the group matches. Huge cheer for Davidson to dispossess him. Many people in Brazil, good judges, feel that Vlado is the best all-round talent that they have. They certainly think that in Portugal, where Benfica have fleshed out some $2.5 million to have him for the next couple of years. Savor with the most unsophisticated ball in truth, the sort of things that Australia haven't been doing, but Crino reminding his teammates that they can play a bit and they shouldn't worry so much. Jennings doing likewise. Here's Davidson keeping it simple to Wade. Crino's checked out to the right. Arnold always making a run to help the pass. Wade, oh well, it ended tamely, and funny enough it had started tamely with Wally Savor, but in between it was very good and encouraging for Frank Arrock, Eddie Thompson, and I would think for Johnny Warren as well.
Yes, that's our best move of the game so far. More composure on the ball, running into space. Unfortunate, fell awkwardly for Wade here. He tried to curve it, there wasn't the room to do it. But Alan Davidson having a whale of a game in the middle of the park, leading by example. A fabulous game from Davo so far. Interesting, before the game, Alan Davidson there speaking to Japanese television in Japanese was quite amazing, and indicates our multicultural society. Yeah.
Jorginho. Jorginho has got a goal to his name in this competition against Saudi Arabia. He was playing left-back in that match, filling in for Nelsinho, but he's naturally right-sided. And he'll gallop away down that right-hand side unless Australia keep very watchful eyes on him. Wade. Davidson not given a chance this time. Elsinho very quick in. Arnold. The way Australia play, Arnold's really on his own through the middle with Farina and Ollerenshaw wide. Oh, they've left Edmar, and it was lucky for Australia that he couldn't collect it. Davidson playing it sensibly again. Here's Wade, Farina ahead of him down the touchline. Now taking over. Only Arnold really in the middle. Ollerenshaw coming in at the back post. And Australia have a corner. The deep cross had the defenders backpedaling down. And this hugely enthusiastic City crowd leaning forward now on the edge of their seats. There's all sorts of things going on in the middle of the ball. Wade's been involved. And then Robbie Dunn now. They use the term marking literally. And Dunn, who's quite a fiery character, must keep his composure. Davidson looking superb. Very experienced, of course. There was a blocking off the run then of Farina, which Brazil do so well. Muller and Arnold bring in. Did go for the ball, but Muller was far too quick. Free kick taken quickly and too quickly for Brazil, because Muller had straight offside. Davidson, who played first division ball in England, huge stage for the Australian game. This one. Davidson there again. Jorginho. Edmar. Giovanni from Vasco da Gama, where he's had a marvellous domestic season. Has a special club level with Romario. There wasn't much on for him, so it was sensible policy really just to keep running, settling for the throw. Davidson. Just wonder how long Crino will be able to last. Penicillin, a wonderful curing drug, but it does leave you feeling a bit low afterwards. Vlado. Edmar. Oh, and it's broken up by Aloisio in Australian territory. But John Campbell spotted something there that the Brazilians aren't happy with. And a wry shake of the head from their coach, Carlos Alberto Silva. Well, we've just passed the halfway mark in the first half. It's Australia 0, Brazil 0. And down on the bench, Messrs. Arok and Thompson will be pleased to have got to this stage level pegging. And with 1 or 2 moments of encouragement, the whistle had gone before Wade flew into the volley there. Players, Johnny, have been teasing Graham Arnold a bit about not scoring in this competition. When you wear the number 9 shirt, there are expectations of you, but his overall contribution has been enormous. His nickname here on the local scene is Goal Game Wally. When he first came down today. Muller getting the running jump at Wade. He had to jump from a static position. He's the type of player who uses the inside of his head as well as the outside. Davidson. They're reluctant to play the simple pass to get out of trouble because they back their skill all the time, the Brazilians. And other countries, you would think that would be suicidal doing that in there, but here at Brazil, they're down in their own corner. Well, they were pressing forward until Wade energetically. Savor. Davidson. Moving well to get free. And he's got a good little move, that turn to the right, on his stronger side. He battles on. Cross had the pace taken out of it by Brazilian deflection. Dunn. Arnold turning well again. Holding off Nelsinho. Graft and sweat. That's an important part of the football mix. Ollerenshaw. Oh, great play, and just went to rush the cross. Great potential here, Johnny Warren.
Yes, look, he's grown in stature in this tournament so much. Always a promising youngster with the St George club, but he's putting on the Brazilian tricks here today. Look at this dribble here. Unfortunately, just off balance a little when he hits it. But Ollerenshaw has been one of the pluses of the tournament for Australia. A big plus because he's an attacker, because he's a player who can take players on, and growing with immense maturity.
Yankos filling in behind Dunn. It's a mistake by Romario. Savor. Wade. That's another confident move. Maybe Australia have come through the worst of those early 10 minutes or so when they really didn't look at ease in this unusual position that they find themselves. Make no mistake about it, this team can play. Whatever the result here, one would hope that they would again give evidence of their growth in stature and quality during the match. There are signs now that that's beginning to happen. Giovanni. Here's Jennings. Farina has switched to the left, ahead of Crino. Ollerenshaw on the right still. Davidson, Ollerenshaw. He made the right move again. Crino. Wade. Quite for Arnold. Farina was in there as well. There is a feeling in the Australian camp that Brazil don't defend too well in midfield. Silva concerned enough to get off his seat, try and pass the message on. This game started at 2 o'clock in the morning, Brazilian time, but they're all watching and listening back there. And wondering what's going to happen in this attack. Edmar. Jorginho. A lot of players forward from Brazil, and Davidson did use an arm, intentionally is the verdict. So those players will stay forward and be joined by the big men from the back. Was this intentional? Well, the referee thought so. Yes, Ricardo is there, the number 4, and the tall Aloisio as well. Giovanni, really a dead ball expert. Australia must be vigilant in their marking, and Yankos judged the right point. He did that many times against Argentina. Brazil trying to get another cross in. This time it's Crino in the way. Davidson rather scooped it out. Dunn. Davidson. For Ollerenshaw. Here's Romario. Savor in the way. And if Australia at times are having to play their passes a little too quickly for their own style to develop, they can draw great comfort from the fact that Brazil haven't really found that golden blend, which is the trademark of their game. Crino was fouled by Edmar. Already on his way forward is Robbie Dunn. I think the tallest man in the competition. I would say the tallest outfield player for sure. Crino trying to deliver accurately. Up goes Dunn, and in fact it's diverted away for a corner. Pause for Crino. From Dunn, and I'm sure from the supporters as well. Must have been a great boost to them when the teams were announced here. Crino virtually ruled out to the rest of the competition. He's going to take the corner. Taffarel off his line, and his handling has been first class in this competition. That's bread and butter stuff, really, for goalkeepers. There's a bit of handling there too from Muller. He's not allowed to do that, but Taffarel is, and he's doing it splendidly for a country with no tradition in that goalkeeping department, really, of any substance compared to what they achieve as outfield players. Muller, it's broken well for him, and this might be a problem with Romario against Savor. That should be Australia's throw, and Wally Savor came through that test very well. Davidson just in time making Crino sprint, and it's that bit of sharpness that will have gone because of the spell in hospital. You just can't expect it. What Australia have got to do is get the ball to Crino's feet and let him pass it, because he's the best that they've got in that respect. Jennings. Edmar, and Jorginho involved as well. Crino to tidy it up. So disappointed to miss out against his country of birth, Argentina, but this will make up for it to a large extent just playing, if he can be a winner as well. Those unhappy days hospital will be soon forgotten. Wade against Giovanni. Aloisio protesting the decision, which is a throw, and Giovanni went straight across to the referee. So said something quite forcibly as well. Whether Don Campbell understood it, it's probably best from Giovanni's point of view that he didn't. We have had more yellow cards than goals in this competition. But as far as this game is concerned, it's even Steven at 0-0. All respects. Jorginho to Romario. Edmar is well defended by Australia. Arnold was short of help. Still worked hard to get possession back, which is lost by Crino. Davidson. The long ball is on. Direction of Farina. Lovely little cameo of Brazilian football there by Andrade with a spin and then letting the ball run in the end. It's a privilege for them to be on show in Sydney, though they can shoot better than that. Very different styles, Johnny, but now the game has evened out.
Yes, Australia's best period. I think the fact that the shot from there indicates how well Australia's doing the dirty job, or the job when they lose the ball. They're marking well, they're closing down quickly. The only thing I'd like to see improved is when they get it, to use it up a little bit better than they are, because the Brazil can't score if we've got the ball. I feel we've probably given it away a little bit too much, too easily. And once Brazil get the ball, of course, you start chasing shadows. They're so good with it. But defensively doing very well, just a little bit more composure and creativity when we get hold of it. And to do that, of course, we need Crino back to his best form, which is asking a lot for a guy who just spent 3 days in hospital. He's getting a bit better to touch on the ball.
He's certainly not hiding. There he is. Savor doesn't stand on ceremony, does he? He goes in and he's caught out of position here. And Nelsinho's clever run. And Brazil attacking in force with Romario. And Andrade set up, but again it's from distance. Of all the nations around the world who play this marvellous game, they're the ones who can hurt you most often from that distance. But a lot of times you would say to the defending team, well, you have a shot from there, you're not going to beat us. And that's of course your Charlie Yankos. Well, they've had the cold down in Melbourne, the Brazilians, and now they're having a bit of a Sydney shower. There's also sunshine as well. Yankos made the mistake, and Olver read it quickly, which was important for Charlie Yankos. Those two are very good friends, best men respectively at each other's wedding, but the friendship was stretched for an instant then. Just that time, it doesn't happen very often. Arnold was left waiting, allowing Aloisio to get in front of him, but Australia had the throw. Still the possession. Crino. It's been a strong point of Brazilian defending in this competition. They've looked good in the air. Ricardo won that one cleanly. Muller, Romario, and Yankos found the route there out of the maze, and it looked as though he was going into a blind alley for a moment. Wade, Farina. Well, Davidson was clever to mind that it was a professional ploy. Maybe one or two youngsters will go out in the garden and practice that. It has a place in the game. We shouldn't encourage it, but it worked for Alan and Davidson there. So Yankos to plant it forward, right into the heart of defending It would be a dagger into their hearts. Jorginho able to climb above Wade. Ollerenshaw. Here's Crino. Now Jennings. Romario. Davidson across because he knows this could be dangerous. Mario's little shimmy in the end didn't help him at all. They do say in Brazil that he's a little on the lazy side, the number 11, but his goal-scoring record in Rio is second to none in recent seasons. And you ignore him at your peril. Giovanni. Vlado. Nelsinho. Mario is lurking in the middle, and that's really when he is at his most dangerous, when he's contributed very little so far. And Nelsinho was able to provide a cross then that was tailor-made for the smallest player on the field, probably. Wasn't too far away, was it? Nelsinho, don't quite know how his left foot is made, but it's not like the rest of us mere mortals. He can do things with a ball that you really can't coach. Edmar. Here's Jorginho. He'll gallop on the right just as Nelsinho does on the left. Difficult times for Australia at the moment, after a spell where their play was developing. Neither side really has had a measure of full control on the match. 3 minutes to go to half-time. What can Australia do here? Not a great deal, and Yankos, as the back line was pushing out, was helped in the end by the offside flag, but that ball ricocheted so quickly that it almost got Brazil in. Jennings. And he's there before Vlado. But Vlado had his own ideas about how to defend. Crino. Some bumping and battering going on there, but it was ruled shoulder to shoulder. And Edmar screening it skillfully, first away from Wade, then Ollerenshaw. From Edmar's clever movement, he's involved again here. Brazil looking powerful, now looking to penetrate with Nelsinho. Olver is there. Farina had run back with Nelsinho, but against the quality of play, Brazil can produce a pass. However well you defend, it's good enough to beat you. Crino. Nelsinho, incidentally, has been touted around the English clubs. The first Brazilian ever to come to England, Mirandinha, who's not on this trip, has been playing now a season with Newcastle United, and Nelsinho was offered as part of the same sort of package, and I just can't understand why he wasn't snapped up. Dunn. Yankos, who gives depth to Australia's defending. Johnny, we're in the final minute of the first half. Your thoughts on it?
Yes, I think Australia can be well pleased. They've done the dirty job very, very well. I think Frank and Eddie would want to get them into half-time, sort a few things out. they're not doing correctly when they have the ball. But a splendid first half for me from them. They're up against a world-class opponent playing world-class football, and Australia can be well pleased with this first half.
Farina. Yes, I think the last thing we wanted was for the boys to freeze on their big day. Having done so much on Thursday night, that can never be taken away from them. But to get through the first half here, level pegging with Brazil. You just cast your mind back a few months to think of even being in this final. It's excellent, and it's an engaging test of getting. Certainly not a one-sided one. If it was to stay level, after 90 minutes we would have 15 minutes each way of extra time, and then a penalty shootout. Edmar. It was Farina who worked back, and that was the last act of the first half, which Australia can be proud of. There were certainly signs early on that Brazil were going to get a grip that they might be able to maintain. One or two flashes around Jeff Olver's goal, but Paul Wade and company have toiled, as you would expect, like Charlie Yankos at his end, and Ricardo and Aloisio at the other have held sway. The goalkeepers hardly tested, but this big Sydney crowd appreciative.
From the middle of the park, but so far not a great deal of trouble at the back, and it's easy to sit here and say what our guys should do. They get hold of the ball, a little bit more, use it up a little bit more. By the time all this to have just to give away too well.
And there, what Australian soccer is going to do administratively from this high point. What do you think is going to happen next?
Well, there's a talk of restructuring. I think the other sports have shown the way. They've cleaned up their administration, put it on an executive basis, taken it away from the political basis that restricted cricket and Australian football and rugby league and rugby union. Soccer just has it over all of them, and I don't mean any disrespect to other sport. We have it over them, the true internationality of the game, the fact that so many Australians are already involved in it. It has been called a sleeping giant, but again, this Socceroo team has now sparked the enthusiasm for us to do something with the game. And if we blow it, we don't deserve another chance.
One thing that's disappointed me is this rather petty rivalry between the codes. Now, surely there is room for everything. I feel that rugby league and maybe the Aussie rules feel that soccer's a threat. It can't be that. It's such a sports-crazy country, this, that there's room for everything.
No, I think they have felt threatened, maybe because it's a foreign game or it's come from overseas in that respect. But there is room for all sports. I mean, today at the Sydney Cricket Ground we have the Swans, we've got a full round of rugby league matches in Sydney, and we've got a almost full stadium here. So it's very, very true. There is room for all sports, much the same as it is in the States. You don't just follow basketball there or baseball. You are a sports fan. You go to sports events. Hopefully that will happen here.
Well, I'm sure the game has attracted vast numbers of new fans from this tournament. And it's been a real honour and a pleasure for me to be a part of it on the broadcasting side. So, the players are back to business. Australia defending the goal to the right in the second half. And the word from the dressing room, no substitutions during the half-time break, just having a quick look round. Ones who might have stayed in, like Crino, if he was feeling the effects of the week that he's had of illness from an injury. But he's out there. The second half is underway. Robbie Dunn. Jennings turning into a little bit of trouble. Vlado, Muller, Edmar, and sometimes teams do get caught cold. It's very unprofessional when you come out to start the second half, but the blood isn't really tingling and the concentration isn't at its utmost. Vlado. Giovanni and Muller finding an interchange of passes there when it seemed that Australia must crowd them out. Vlado, who has got this knack of sensing where room is available. Bill Monteverde, the linesman, quite properly points for a corner. Ollerenshaw having to defend. Frank Arok, a real cosmopolitan himself, epitomising the nature of the game here. And they curved out to play and back in again, so it's a goal kick. Davidson. He's laid off under pressure by Arnold. And you think too that Australia had 3 full days together after 3.5 months without serious preparation before this tournament began. So they've lent heavily on the club spirit engendered by Frank Arok and Eddie Thompson. It's a foul by Crino. I would be very surprised if Oscar Crino played the full 90 minutes. Robbie Dunn, with his right shin heavily protected, and he is wearing shin pads today. He wasn't on Thursday, the only time he was telling me that he hasn't in his senior career. What happened to him? There's a warning to everyone who plays the game, whatever level. Arnold on the chase. He's got a lot to do. He's taken the shot early, which wasn't a bad idea. The Brazilians were catching him quickly, and Eddie Thompson appreciated it. The down-to-earth Scot, Frank Arok, sometimes gets off the ground, so to speak, and he would have done here if Graham Arnold's shot taken on the run had been more cleanly hit. It wasn't a bad effort at all. Australia have a free kick, looking to really make their mark at the start of the second half of the final the Bicentennial Gold Cup. Still 0-0. Farina. Yankos. That's reached Wade. Ollerenshaw chasing in. Ricardo holding him off. And while Australia were protesting, they're being attacked here by Romario. Brazil sensing a moment they might move into the kill. Romario again, and Olver right behind it. That's the danger, Johnny Warren, when you're losing your concentration at the other end of the field.
Yes, and especially when the ball falls to a player like Romario, tremendous dribbler, quick on the turn, gets the shot in, the leading scorer for the last 3 years in the Rio State League. But I'd like to see Farina move a little bit more. He's getting caught too much just on the right flank, and he tends to get bogged down when that happens. Australia need Farina more in this game than he was in the first half. Perhaps to move into the middle a little bit, or even to switch flanks as he's done now for the first time in the game is the move that he should be doing.
Savor. Jorginho extravagantly away, but not very far. Arnold. Aloisio strong in the challenge, and it's 3 against 3. In fact, Brazil's so quick it's 5 against 3. Real problems here for Australia if Brazil play it right. Muller and Edmar. It deflected off Wade, and what an important touch that was, because it gave the advantage to Olver. Brazil swept down on the Australian goal then. And it's the ability to read the play instantly that brings them that sort of goal attempt. Swept out by Muller to Edmar. It's a little bit wider than probably he would have wanted, but it deflected off the willing Wade. Giovanni, Nelsinho, and it was played on to Nelsinho by Ollerenshaw. It's a goal kick, but in the last minute or so, there have been 3 moments to have Frank Arok casting his eyes downwards. That'll only be temporary, I'm sure. The thespian in him will soon return. Arnold. Australia looking to strike back. Aloisio having to take the safe way out, and he hasn't done it very well. It's only found Wade. Blocked by Nelsinho. Wade thought he might have got a corner, but it was an optimistic shout. Remember, these 2 countries are in the same Olympic group. Seoul. So there's another battle to come in September. One thing's for sure, Australia won't be overawed because of what's happened in this tournament. Jorginho. Crino in the right place, back from Jennings. Finals, by their very nature, often more cautious affairs. Both teams really have been sparing in picking their moments to attack in numbers. Edmar. Swept on by Crino. Farina has forced the try. In fact, it wasn't a foul, it was handball by Jorginho. The decision, I think, is going to be a throw, which is maybe a diplomatic decision. Farina. Here's Vlado turning straight into Crino. Vlado Bozinoski will be bursting to get on if Crino doesn't last the course. Pushed by Davidson on Vlado. Ricardo. Andrade. Will be Dunn leading the way against Edmar. The distribution perhaps isn't his strongest suit. He more than compensates for that with his natural defensive qualities. Davidson. Wade. Certainly a different pattern of play from the match in Melbourne 10 days ago, when Brazil did get a goal after half an hour, and Australia then had to come out much more than they have to do here, and they did it pretty well, but they didn't put themselves in positions very often to save that game. They might have an opportunity here to create what could be a winning goal. Ollerenshaw. Jennings. Arnold and Vlado. And it's a little moral victory for Australia, only in terms of a throw. Dunn. Crino wanted to let it run, but Jorginho was having none of that. And here's Andrade. Oh, look at the room that Edmar's got to turn. And Muller, Romario's in the middle, joined by Edmar. Here's Romario. That's magnificently taken. You just can't give him a chance like that. Brazil lead. The warning signs were there earlier in the half. Dunn had been sucked over this side. Edmar was free. Muller was involved in the move as well. And Romario's scoring touch there for all to see. With 11 minutes gone in the second half, Australia, if they're going to win the Bicentennial Gold Cup, have to come from behind. Johnny Warren, just as we saw with Romario's touch in Melbourne.
Yes, the warning signs were there, as you said, Martin. We've been caught out a couple of times. 4 players caught the wrong side. But beautiful cross from Muller. And Romario just showing why he's the top scorer in Brazil, tucking it away. Australia would have to be considering a couple of changes to freshen the team up. As we speak, Robbie, Slater. Whether that goal came or not, there are signs that they're starting to get a little bit tired.
Muller. Dunn got back this time.
I would think perhaps the Slater change. We've got Kosmina as well warming up, Bozinoski. But I'd like to see Farina operating more through the middle. I think he's been wasted a little bit today on the flanks, hasn't really got into the game. Australia desperately need him involved in the match if they're to get back in.
Sequence of events for Australia after the celebrations of Thursday night was a really good training session on Friday afternoon, where they sweated 1 or 2 excesses, understandable excesses from the party the night before. Sweated that out of the system. They worked hard yesterday. Arnold guiding the header down, but not quite angling it well enough. But it was asking an awful lot to take on Brazil in any circumstances, but at a time when they've had an extra day's rest, that's another obstacle to be overcome, and they've looked much the fresher team in the second half. Here's Andrade leaving 3 Australians in his wake. Edmar, Romario, and Olver has kept Australia in the match. It was a brilliant move, but both sides of it seen in the reaction on the bench. Some joy too, that was there in the play, but frustration that this time Romario couldn't finish it off. And here's Wade. Halted unfairly by Vlado. Johnny, had that gone in, it would have been curtains.
That was it, wasn't it, the ball game? But what a beautiful move from Brazil. The touches, Romario makes so much space for himself, and thankfully Olver was there. But Australia really got to hold it together now. It's a dangerous period. Once the opponents scored, we're at 6s and 7s. And the danger is, of course, Brazil can start to rip them apart.
Oh, Wade, not dampened. Vlado caught him as well as the ball. So Taffarel all tense on his line. Is it going to be a Yankos speciality? Crino is there as well. But here goes Charlie. And it was hit cleanly too, but the goalkeeper, as he has been for most of the competition, in absolutely the right place. Taffarel is only 22, and he's given every indication that he'll be around for a long time with Brazil. Muller of the same age group, beaten by Davidson. Arnold. Ollerenshaw is away. Now, Don Campbell's got to take severe action here. Ollerenshaw getting into trouble too. But Jorginho did what he felt he had to do. A lot of defenders around the world at this level would have done it as well, I must say. And they'll always do it as long as all they get is a yellow card. Ollerenshaw was so frustrated that he might have got himself into trouble as well. He was away. So Don Campbell knows who it is. If he has to go, plenty of people will believe it's the right thing. But the referee has a very difficult situation here. What he has to do is get away from the players and make it absolutely clear the decision that he's made. We'll show you the incident again in a moment, but the key man is Don Campbell, and Ricardo, the captain, is trying to get the message. Jorginho is still there. Go, that's it, he's off. He is off. It's a red card. Whether the second offence was the protests, for my money, referees should send the player off for pulling Ollerenshaw down in that sort of situation. And Jorginho will not go. Phil Monteverde. We have the incident standing by to show you, but I'm sure you'd rather see what's going to happen here, because this young man is going to get himself in very hot water. It's like a batsman in cricket refusing to walk when the umpire's given you out. You have to go. There's no dispute about it. The red card has been shown, but Jorginho has come back on. And he's still there. Johnny, can you believe what we're seeing?
I can't. I must say, though, that type of foul, where a lot of people here, myself included, believe that it should be a red card offence, not particularly against Brazil today, but a professional foul should have a red card. It negates the entertainment value of the game, and I just wonder it's not a second yellow for Jorginho at all.
Well, the red card was out. It was quite clear, and they think they're going to make a substitution now, the Brazilians do. Now, if Luis Carlos comes on, there's got to be another player go off as well as Jorginho. Who that is, we must wait and see. Luis Carlos is a right back and is the natural to go into that position. So he is on. Somebody else has to come off. And it's going to be Edmar, it seems. Well, maybe now we should have a look at the foul that led to the mayhem. Ollerenshaw. Dragged back by Jorginho. Ollerenshaw betrayed his youth, really, by his reaction. But the bottom line is that Australia a goal down, but Brazil a man down. And the incident being replayed on the scoreboard in the stadium, fueling the reaction in the crowd. So The free kick is in Yankos country, but Crino works it to Ollerenshaw. It needed something better then, in truth. Easy to say. His dander still up, Scott Ollerenshaw. It's a very nicely worked free kick. Credit to the coaching staff here. .24 minutes left. And Australia, as you say in these parts, must go for it now. Luis Carlos. Jennings. Played on well by Dunn, and Ricardo went in and almost crippled Crino. And here's Muller. He and Romario, though, still capable of doing something even against the most mass defending, and Muller has done just that. That's the perfect reply to the difficulties they were facing when reduced to 10 men. And the smiles have returned down there. And two top-class players here. Too much for Australia at the back, although they were outnumbered. Romario just squeezed the pass away, and Muller flashed it home. Well, at a time, Johnny, when you thought Brazil might have lost their concentration, maybe Australia were more affected.
And how many times has that happened, Martin? 10 against 11, you expect the 11 to dominate, and it doesn't always happen. There was 4 defenders there against 2, which is brilliant play from Romario and Muller.
Here's Davidson. Farina. Australia have to hit back quickly. Arnold has to be careful. The tempers there are on a short fuse amongst those defenders. You find that forwards in Brazil don't really challenge goalkeepers. Well, Arnold really shouldn't challenge like that anyway. He turned his back on the ball. So Taffarel will not be encouraged to get up too quickly, I wouldn't think. They'll be quite happy, the Brazilians, to take the steam out of it, as Frank Arok wonders how it could have gone wrong when suddenly it looked promising again. Well, Jose Carlos came on as a substitute for Taffarel, but that was just a tactical move against Saudi Arabia on Wednesday. They won't want to change it this time. Frank Arok, though, does want to change it. Change 2 players. Vlado Bozinoski on the left as we looked. Robbie Slater just behind him. Muller. Here's Crino. Arnold. Ollerenshaw. A handful again. He's a great chaser of lost causes, Scott Ollerenshaw. And again, he made something happen for Australia. This cause isn't quite lost overall, but Bozinoski and Slater, when they come on, have to really be inspiring. Crino. It's Wade, and it didn't run for him this time. It's that ploy that Australia worked and worked on, of getting Paul Wade right round the back, coming late on proceedings. Farina. Well, the golden boy has had precious few opportunities to show what he can do, and we must praise the Brazilians for that. They've kept him very much under wraps. Vlado. Luis Carlos. And it's just not in Brazil's nature, even with 10 men, to settle back behind the ball. This type of flowing play is bred into them. Jennings trying to make sure that Arnold was cutting off any back pass. That could well be a free kick against Ricardo. It is. And it's time for the substitutions. Yes. And in fact, it's Farina who's coming off. So Robbie Slater for Frank Farina, Vlado Bozinoski for Wally Savor. Crino. Here's Davidson. Australia's throw. 17 minutes left. Brazil leading by 2 goals to 0 from Romario and from Muller. Their day marred by the red card shown to Jorginho. And the studs were up there. They didn't look very long studs, more of the moulded variety. Not likely to cut, but likely to aggravate. The Australians have just got to push on, make Brazil play it around at the back. Back of the head of Jennings. Romario, that low centre of gravity enabling him to change direction so quickly. Stretch out to get an extra touch there, and Muller almost forced away past Bozinoski. Slater. Well, can Robbie Slater spark a recovery? It's a tall order. Very popular for his performances in the National League here this season. Yankos. 1 goal would rattle Brazil. Maybe set up a finale. Australia's throw. Crino. Impeded, he's going to get the free kick. And even though the full sharpness hasn't been there, he's got such good ball control himself. he really induces the tackles that lead to free kicks. Bozinoski to take it. Ricardo to meet it. He's missed so little. Davidson, it's a foul by Giovanni, and that's a yellow card for him. Australia want to take the free kick quickly, but Tom Campbell hasn't completed the formalities here. More from the world of wrestling than football. Use the whole width, stretch the play. Try and make Brazil pay for having a man light. Yankos. Aloisio, well, that could have gone anywhere. And Luis Carlos eventually clearing his lines, but here comes Bozinoski. Australia won't lack spirit. Where they might find themselves lacking is if Brazil break. With Muller and Romario on song, and Vlado beaten only there by the bounce on a divot. Slater, up go the cheers again. Ollerenshaw is ahead of him, and onside. Ricardo blocked him. Slater quick to get involved, and now Ricardo, as Don Campbell feels for the pocket, and that's another caution, and I think the captain realised that he was out of order. The damage to Slater was only temporary. It was really the speed of the incident that made it so spectacular. Good free kick. It's got Slater into a useful position, and Aloisio was able to get his body in the way of it, and it's a corner, not the free kick that the crowd were baying for. Although it did appear to strike an arm, ruled not intentional. Sydney Football Stadium would erupt if Australia could score from this corner. Ollerenshaw. That came off Ricardo. And here comes the speedy counter-attack from Andrade out to Vlado. Brazil looking to hit on the break again. Vlado. Jennings stopping him for a moment. Now that task passes to Wade. Devastating, and it's been deadly for Brazil with their counter-attacking style. Nelsinho. It's Vlado who dragged his shot off target. 11 minutes left, Johnny. Has your optimism deserted you?
Not entirely, but Australia really have to play it wide. The instruction from Eddie is a very correct one, but it's so difficult sometimes, Martin, for teams to play against 10 players. They don't use the numerical superiority, they don't stretch them wide enough to create the gaps to use that extra man. But no, not entirely. Starting to drift a little bit, but the boys really need a little bit more firepower in front, don't they? One wonders whether Cosmina coming on, perhaps his strength in the air would have been very, very useful now, but Slater's inclusion is certainly a positive one.
And Slater setting up Ollerenshaw, who wanted too long. Yes, Slater's already made an impact. That was an attempt at improvisation by Arnold. Well, he'll be disappointed, John Cosmina, but it was difficult, really. The width provided by Slater's inclusion, and Bozinoski had done enough against Argentina to get the other berth, really. So Cosie's lost out, but he's got the Olympics to look forward to. Maybe he'll face Brazil then. Slater. Here's Bozinoski. He's certainly full of running. He was quick to tell me that he's a teetotaler, and he wasn't celebrating with alcohol on Thursday night. No one would have begrudged him a beer or two. Yankos. Davidson. Now Dunn. And it's all through the middle again. Where is the width? The player out on the right is Bozinoski, and he's kept it in play. It's straight to Aloisio, but here's Ollerenshaw. What we can say, it has been a worthy final, whatever the events of the last 9 minutes. Brazil have stamped their class on the proceedings. Australia are still in there with Arnold! Well, the crosses are coming in now. And Slater caused confusion by his sheer presence. Taffarel was just quick enough to beat Arnold to it. Jennings steering it back. Olver wanting to distribute quickly. Slater readily available. Now Davidson. And the extra man beginning to tell. Australia playing it sensibly. They do need to finish. Oh, and they nearly got some help then. But Robbie Slater wasting no time. He had no time to waste. He had to come straight off the blocks like a sprinter, like the sprinter that he is as a player. And he couldn't scoop it in from the corner. Well, we're going to have a look at that confusion in the Brazilian ranks. I don't think there's time now. And Taffarel, if you're a Brazilian defender and you're beginning to find your pulse racing a bit, that is marvellous goalkeeping. You look at your goalkeeper and you're begging him to come and take the cross like that. Davidson. Slater. He's got the pass away. It didn't matter that Bozinoski couldn't control it. Ollerenshaw was there as well. But he made the wrong decision against Andrade. Australia's throw, Luis Carlos slipped the ball away to use up a few more seconds. Here's Yankos. The substitutes are taking up good positions and obviously were well instructed when they came on. It's a foul on Davidson. Muller was the first challenge, and after the second, it was at a time when Arnold Davidson was running out of options anyway. Crino Crino is there, but so too is Yankos. Taffarel wouldn't want to go the same way as Luis Islas. Well, it's Crino and Taffarel comfortably. Davidson. Ricardo already has had a yellow card. He'll need to be almost exaggerated in his apologies. That usually works with referees. And Ollerenshaw has really taken some bumps in the Australian cause. But Johnny Warren, as the time ticks away now, it looks as though that double blast from the Brazilian shotgun was actually killed off.
Yes, the second one was the killer. But I think we've spoken enough about Australia too, Martin, that we have to admire them for what they've done in this tournament. But I think let's give credit too to Brazil. They've come here. There was a lot of criticism of them before they came, that the known players, so-called known players, weren't coming. They promised us a team that was going to win the Bicentennial Gold Cup and go on and win the World Cup. Now, whether they win the World Cup, of course, is to be seen. But they've certainly played some beautiful football here today.
Wade!
The type of football the crowd here won't forget easily. And in Muller and Romario up front, they have two of the great strikers of world football.
Davidson. Slater. He's in too much of a hurry that time. Wherever I'm lucky enough to be sent in the world to watch this wonderful game, it's always very special when you see Brazil out there. And I'm sure everyone watching on television and watching here in the stadium will remember this, particularly, as you say, those two superb attacks that seem to have meant, at the end of them, the Bicentennial Gold Cup for Brazil. But Slater tries to get an early ball in. Wade wins it. Aloisio and Ricardo have had great tournaments. Brazil have just conceded one goal. It's their fourth game. Vlado, if they get the passing right again, Australia would have been in trouble, but Muller was offside. And they're doing this, playing with 10 men. Wade. Here's Slater. Stronger than Nelsinho. Crino having to work back. It's grateful that Yankos could help him out. Yankos having his shirt yanked by Giovanni. Slater. Wade. Well, Slater, maybe not a certainty for the Olympic squad, but he might have done his cause some good in his contribution in the latter stages here. Vlado. Giovanni. Australia weary from their efforts, but still life in Ollerenshaw and Arnold. Only Slater to the right. It's not an easy pass, but Arnold has produced it. Slater was trying to find the player on the edge of the area, who was Jennings. Vlado, tremendous trickery again. He's now faced by Yankos. He's drawn him out of the middle. stadium loudspeakers that the presentations, of course, will follow quickly at the end of the game, which is shortly upon us. Despite some gutsy work in this latter phase, it seems as though there's going to be no real postscript for Australia for their efforts. There's still time for maybe a consolation strike. Bozinoski, Arnold, but the flag was up. Certainly, Johnny, Australia have done the cause of the game proud here, but Brazil have been the best team.
Yes, there's no disputing that, particularly in the finishing area. Their attacking moves had that better quality about them, didn't they? More preciseness, and the finishing of Romario and Muller absolutely superb. But the game didn't flow for Australia like the first encounter. Brazil aware of what to expect, perhaps. I feel the Australians perhaps a little bit tired. I don't offer that as a total excuse by any means, but they only had the 2 days off as opposed to Brazil's 3.
Vlado. Here's Carlos. But you can only play as well as you're allowed, and Brazil haven't really let the Australians play, have they?
Valdo's a player who's impressed me throughout the tournament. Number 18.
But we're
defending Ricardo, I'm sorry.
Yes, the defence particularly.
And the goalkeeping we touched on at half-time. I think one of the Brazilian goalkeepers from the old days, we could have been in with a bigger chance today, but Taffarel has been so positive in everything he's done, particularly in the air.
Well, this festival of football or soccer, as it's known here, is in its final seconds. A wonderful occasion over the last 11 days. This is the 8th match spread around 4 cities. An event the like of which Australia has never seen before. An appropriate contribution from this worldwide game to Australia's own domestic 200th birthday party. Slater. Crino. Davidson, who doesn't really deserve to be on the losing side for his efforts, although that was a weary pass then. Maybe we'll see one last thrust from Brazil. Muller, Luis Carlos has got on too. They're like scavengers, aren't they, when the chances materialise. Arnold. Slater. And Aloisio with time to have a look round to see he was safe, which he was. Andrade and Romario is away. Australia have 3 back. Brazil also have Muller in the middle. And he's found by Romario. And there was really hardly an attempt to stop the two then. Australia have given absolutely everything. Slater. One or two of the players in green will find it a long journey back to the dressing room here. Physically drained, emotionally drained by the challenge of taking on Brazil. There'll be no complaints from the Socceroos, I'm sure, about the defeat. They certainly have given it their best shot. And they've got those glowing memories of the game here against Argentina. That's it. Brazil have won the Bicentennial Gold Cup with goals in the second half. Superbly worked and marvellously finished by Romario and then Muller. The Socceroos, though, have won the admiration of Australia and taken the game forward in a country where it has immediate and immense potential. Brazil still representing the ultimate test for any nation in this truly worldwide sport. And these Australian players, guided and cajoled and at times cursed, always cared for by Frank Arok and Eddie Thompson, they've moved Australia up the international ladder, even in defeat. And I'm sure the sadness of defeat here will soon give way to that satisfaction at even reaching the final. The 4-1 demolition of Argentina, a new high here. The challenge really now to the administrators to build on the achievements of the team. There is a place for this type of football, I believe, up amongst the other more dominant at the moment football codes in Australia, and it can be achieved without threatening their own popularity. Brazil have gone across to pay their respects to their own supporters. Worthy winners. And they are a force to be reckoned with. I reckon that maybe only 3 or 4 of the Argentina team we've seen here will actually be around come 1990. I'm sure a lot of the Australian boys will be to the forefront for a long time. But the Brazilians are going to be world names, if they're not already. Muller certainly is, Vlado too, Nelsinho. So as they celebrate, let's look down now at the culmination of Brazil's work, the moment where they're going to collect the Bicentennial Gold Cup. Great reception for the Socceroos, but they're not. Dr. João Havelange, the president of FIFA, the sports world governing body. Alan Davidson, how well he played. Well, they couldn't get over the rainbow today. Brazil, the World Cup winners in 1958, 1962 and 1970. Our Bicentennial Gold Cup winners at the 200th birthday party of Australia. It's gold again for them. Sir Arthur George there, the president of the Australian Federation as well, just being involved with the Prime Minister in the presentations. It's been a tough tournament for them. No stroll at all. They came here with the pedigree, as did Argentina. Australia had the ambition, and Saudi Arabia, let's not forget them. Great ambassadors for their country, thoroughly nice people, and at times able to play the game with a verve of their own. Charlie Yankos, I'm sure, will lift the spirits of his players. Nothing for Australia to be ashamed of. It's a learning time for them. They've announced to the world that they're capable of taking on the best and giving them a real game. And I'm sure they're fixtures will improve as the months go by. Well, that's from the commentary position. May I say it's been an honour to come here and serve the ABC. Thank you to everyone who's made my family and myself so welcome in this marvellous country. Until the next time, which I hope is very soon, let's go down to Charles Slade.
We made, in fact, those goals are results of different nature of mistakes, one by our man, another one by someone else, because Crino was fouled, and then everyone thought that he is a fouled, and then we stopped for a second. Finally, I thought that he had a legitimate claim for a handball, and it was definitely a penalty. And we can't really give that much advantage to the 3 times world champions and a team of excellent professionals and great players. It was a privilege to play twice Brazil, regardless of our losses. I'm delighted with the way how our players been acting and playing, and probably if there is any first fight for good behavior and fairness, we've been definitely the winners.
Frank Arok, well, I think we must congratulate you all. You've done Australian soccer proud, and we can only look to the future.
Thank you very much, and I'm delighted to see that many people still here and celebrating with us, even if we lost the game, because they know that they got something new, big and excellent, and they're all their sons and cousins and grandsons and husbands. So we are all proud to be in that green and gold. Unfortunately, today it was only green.
Frank Arok, thank you very much. So there we have it. After 12 days of the Bicentennial tournament, we must congratulate Australia. They gave us some wonderful moments, beating Argentina and just getting to the final. Ultimately, we must congratulate Brazil. For now, from the ABC soccer team, it's goodbye from the Sydney Football Stadium.